Welcome to the Exam Study Expert Podcast, helping you ace your exams at school and university through the psychology of high performance and the science of studying smarter, not harder. It's my pleasure to introduce your host, the Cambridge-trained memory psychologist and exam success coach, William Wadsworth.
Hello and welcome to the Exam Study Experts podcast. I don't know if you've noticed, but for the past few weeks on the show, we've had a little soft focus running on brain and mental health. Not a great big kind of whack you around the head kind of focus, just a gentle theme running through our recent episodes on brain health habits, mental models for good study mindset, and some of our recent student stories. Today, I want to talk to you about how I find Headspace. If you'll forgive the mild pun, I mean two things by that. I mean how I find the space in my head on a day-to-day basis to be as productive as I can and show up as my best self for my family and for all things exam study expert. But I also mean it literally how I find my experience as a user of the Headspace app, which is my go-to app for meditation, as you may know, but also for so much more. Think of this episode as a little bit of a combination of an honest review of Headspace, as well as tips for getting the most out of what is effectively one of the world's most popular meditation apps. I talk about Headspace because it's the one I use. If you use one of their competitors, something like Calm, you can get very similar things, and many of my comments will apply to other leading meditation apps as well. Now, before I dive in, a bit of background on my own personal journey with Headspace. I first downloaded the app back in 2017, about 5 years ago, not long before I left the corporate job I had at the time, to go on to found Exam Study Expert, of course. The original recommendation came from a colleague of mine at the time, Alex Wilde. Thank you, Alex. I tried out the Headspace introductory course for a few days back in 2017. I think I probably managed, I would guess, maybe 5 days or something like that. And then I didn't really think about meditation or Headspace at all for at least a couple more years. In my subsequent life with Exam Study Expert, the deeper I went on the science of how to study effectively, the more ways I tried to find to help students with their studies, the more meditation just kept popping up. Students struggle with focus. Meditation pops up as an evidence-based technique for improving concentration and attention. Students struggle with mental health. Meditation pops up again as an evidence-based technique for improving mental and emotional resilience, coping with stress, nerves. I look at high performers in all manner of fields, business people and entrepreneurs, celebrated sports people, actors, authors, writers, you name it. Time and time again, meditation pops up as a key habit that these elite performers in their various fields cite as a key part of their daily routines. So I began to recommend it. I began to recommend meditation. And the more I found myself recommending the practice, the more I felt, well, come on, William, it would be pretty hypocritical if I wasn't practicing what I was preaching. So I dug out Headspace again and made it part of my daily routine. Since then, I've clocked up over 1,000 minutes across 151 sessions. 151 sessions, so I'm not quite managing 365 days a year yet. I'm working towards that, but still, over 1,000 minutes, 1,064 minutes to be precise. That's nothing to be sniffed at, huh? It's clearly been a pretty bbig part of my life. And I really do feel the benefits. The days I meditate in the morning, especially when I'm in a more consistent run, and I'm doing it more most days or even every single day, my brain really does feel calmer, more focused, less buzzy. And I really do find that I not only get more done, but actually I think I'm a nicer person to be around. I like to think I'm a fairly nice person even at the worst of times. I certainly do my best, but I find that I show up as a nicer person, and I'm able to do that if I've done my meditation more consistently. So I'd been proudly recommending Headspace for some time when I thought at some point late last year, I thought, you know what, there are so few services I recommend so proudly and so often as this one. I wonder if I shouldn't be getting a little bit of commission. So I wrote to Headspace, told them I was a huge fan, told them a bit about what I do with Exam Study Expert, and they agreed to take me on as a partner, which was very exciting for me, and basically means that now whenever I recommend Headspace, if someone chooses to sign up, depending on how you sign up, I might get a little bit of compensation. No extra cost to you, of course, and you would need to go via my link, which is at examstudyexperts.com/headspace to sign up in this way. And of course, thank you if you do. I really appreciate the support. That's one way to support the show and everything we do at Exam Study Expert. So today I wanted to take a little bit of time out to show you around how I get the most out of Headspace. And as I say, if you use a different meditation app, some of the leading ones, I mentioned Calm as an example. I have also used Calm before. I've found them very good as well. Many of the features I talk about with Headspace, you might find in other apps as well. As I say, I happen to use Headspace, so that's the one I recommend. And I really do stand behind that recommendation. They do what they do extremely well. Before I dive into the content, though, I just wanted to kind of acknowledge, I know budgets out there for you guys vary quite a bit. So commercially, I pay about £4 every month for Headspace. So, it's not particularly expensive. And little tip, you can even get up to 85% off the headline rates if you have valid student ID. So that's well worth looking out for. And even if that, with the massive discount, is beyond your budget, you can still get some good stuff out of Headspace. They have a YouTube channel where they've put up a portion of their library, obviously not the whole thing, but some extracts from their content library, and that's freely available. Of course, it's YouTube, and it covers many of the categories I'm about to mention in the little tour I'm going to give you now. So I'd invite you warmly to join me on a little tour round Headspace. We'll have 7 stopping points along our little guided tour this morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're listening, ladies and gentlemen, including an opportunity to visit the cafe and gift shop on the way out. So if everybody's ready, then follow me. Let's get to our first point, our first stopping point on the tour. So the first point on the tour I wanted to mention and highlight is the basics courses, because this is where I started my Headspace journey. This is where many people start their meditation journey. And the basics courses, I think there's 3 of them, Basics 1, Basics 2, Basics 3, are a really great introduction to meditation, even for complete beginners, as I was not so long ago. One of the things I really like about the basics courses in particular is the flexibility they offer. And some of these things are true across quite a few of the bits of meditation content, but it's especially true for the basics content. And there's really quite a bit of flexibility in terms of how long you want each installment to be. If you want a 3-minute installment, you go for you select that. If you want 10 minutes or 15 minutes, you select that. My tip, if you're starting out, as I teach in other contexts, whenever you're starting with a new habit, aim for consistency at first. So you want an amount of time that will not faze you. You want to target meditating, ideally every day, for an amount of time that doesn't faze you. So no matter what kind of day you're having, whether you're tired or in a rush or whatever, you should always be able to find that little amount of time. So 3 minutes, you can start with just 3 minutes a day. The idea being that, you should always be able to find 3 minutes, even if you're super busy. As well as choosing the length of session, you can even choose the voice that resonates with you most. A man's voice or a woman's voice, even a voice of one ethnicity or another. Now, in my case, I took the Basics 1 and Basics 2 courses, I think at least maybe 2 or 3 times each while I was easing into that original meditation habit. A couple of years ago, whenever it was I started meditating in earnest and started to clock up those 1,000 minutes. It was I found it a really, really good way to get started. The second stopping point on my little tour is where I spend most of my meditation attention in the app now, which is the Today's Meditation. Every day when I wake up and boot up the app in the morning, a brand new meditation of the day is sitting, waiting there for me. With a mini dose of inspiration or wisdom on a massive range of topics, from meditation best practice to relationships with others to self-improvement, even finding true happiness. It's a really nice part of my morning, and I really look forward to. And I try and do the meditation of the day, today's meditation, on as many work days as I can. As I say, I'm not perfect yet. I'm working on it. And I usually do that just before I sit down at the laptop for the day. Third stopping point of the tour is the wake up. I've loved the wake up. I don't know if you're anything like me, but I can really struggle to get out of bed in the mornings sometimes, especially on these dark winter nights we're having here in the UK at this time of year. Now, long ago, I may have been guilty of waking my brain up before I even got out of the covers, doom scrolling on Facebook or even checking email before getting out of bed, which, I mean, is a terrible habit, really, because while, yes, it does sort of serve to stimulate and wake up the brain a little bit, it also, at least I found, kind of scrambles your mind and makes it far less focused for the day to come. Worse still, if there's an angry topic on social media or a bit of bad news or a rejection or something in your email inbox, it basically means you get up to a filthy mood before you've so much as put the kettle on for a cup of tea, which isn't a great start to the day. So I find Headspace's Wake Up video the perfect solution. As with the meditation of the day, there's a new video published every single day. It's a short video, usually around 5 minutes, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, sharing something inspiring or informative. Sometimes it's like a mini science documentary. Sometimes it's an animation explaining some facet of the mind and how you can tame it, like changing your perspective, finding calm, managing stress, and so much more. Sometimes it's kind of like a practical guide with an expert on a particular topic or issue, like emotional intelligence or finding focus, dealing with anxiety. These little videos, I just find them such a nice way to allow my sort of groggy brain to wake up, and also doesn't risk putting me in a bad mood. You know, always positive topics, always very often helpful and instructive as well. If I were to lodge one little criticism, and I think this is pretty much my only criticism in the whole tour, actually, my only beef with this Wake Up series is that, at least until quite recently, the videos they put out on Sundays were branded the Sunday Scaries series. So every Sunday, the Wake Up video that they put out was in this little sub-series called Sunday Scaries. And it was all about how you can overcome the dread of Mondays and help you enjoy your Sundays. And, you know, to be honest, I've been lucky enough to never particularly have a problem with Mondays. And I don't dread them when I'm on Sundays. But listening to videos every week, first thing when I woke up on a Sunday, about how much I was supposed to be dreading Monday and what I could do about it, for me wasn't a terribly positive experience. I mean, you know, like, hello Headspace, I didn't have a particularly overwhelming sense of dread about Monday before you suggested I might have, but now you mention it, I'm starting to develop one. You know what I mean? Anyway, I basically just skip watching on Sundays now. I tend not to watch it at all at the weekends now, but I still use it as part of the weekdays, and I find the rest of the week consistently excellent. So I use the Wake Up video to wake up and then go and have some breakfast and then come and do today's meditation before sitting down to work. That's my kind of go-to routine as pretty well most days, and I really do feel far better for those habits. The next few stops on the tour are things that I don't use that often. So the Wake Up and the meditation of the day I use very, very often. The next few stops are things that I don't use that often, but I think are really cool things to have access to, and I do dip into them from time to time, and I just wanted to mention them as part of the little tour. So stop number 4 on the tour is the Focus Music Playlists library. Now, this may be of interest to many of you, because I'm often asked if it's okay to listen to music while studying. And the short answer is, it depends. Not all music is good background music. Some of it is better than others. It's partly dependent on personal preference, partly depends on the tasks you're working on, and partly depends on the music you've chosen. However, if you are trying to find good music to focus to, then you could do much worse than starting by checking out the Focus Music section in Headspace, because they've got a whole library of different focus music playlists specifically curated to help you concentrate and get stuff done. And there's something to suit the genres. There's genres to suit every taste. So there's lo-fi beats, kind of more upbeat tracks. Then they've got playlists commissioned from all kinds of renowned artists like Arcade Fire, Madlib, St. Vincent, and even Hans Zimmer, whose cinematic focus music playlist I was listening to whilst gathering my thoughts for this very podcast. Stop number 5 on our tour is a little bit of a catch-all for all the various other kinds of instructional videos they've got. So these are a little bit along the same kind of vein as the wake up videos. They cover all kinds of different things. Some of them function as a nice helping hand when you've got a particular problem you want some support with, like there's a whole section on student essentials, and they've got little videos of advice on getting a good night's sleep, fighting FOMO, exam prep, dealing with distractions, overcoming procrastination. And any parents listening, there's also a section for parents and kids with things on, for example, balancing screen time. For me, I particularly like the little 10-minute nature videos they've got. So there's a little section of 10-minute nature videos. And these are especially designed to help you take a healthy break from your work with something to relax, rest, or inspire the mind while you pause from work and give your brain a quick breather. There's titles for these videos like Playful Jungle or Joyful Snow, Serene Ocean, Inspiring Land and Sea. And there's something to match whatever your mood you're in. And the idea is it helps you take a healthy break, watching some nature for 10 minutes. And it's a sort of safe container because they're only 10 minutes long. You're not going to get sucked in and distracted and end up binging a whole 3 episodes long of something on Netflix or whatever. Stop number 6 on our tour is one I don't explore too much personally, but I will mention it for completeness because there is a ton of good content on movement in the Headspace app. My tastes in movement are fairly simple. I like to walk and run and tend not to explore too much beyond that. But within the Headspace app, there's all kinds of resources. They've got yoga videos, dance breaks, cardio, mini workouts. Again, another nice alternative if you're having a break and you want to do something, want to have a sort of healthy break and you want to get moving in your break, get the blood flow going, get the heart beating, so stretching routines and much more. Finally, stop number 7 on our tour brings our tour and our day as a whole with Headspace to a close because it's all about the resources to drift off to a good night's sleep. In particular, I love their collection of sleep stories. If I'm ever struggling to fall asleep, the restful and soothing stories they've got are the perfect solution for me. They've set them up quite interestingly, so that every time you play even the same story, it sort of shuffles the order of the story. So you get different segments of the story told coming at you in different orders, which basically means that the story is a little different each time you listen to it, which basically lets you revisit all your old favourite stories without them feeling stale. Which I really like. I think that's a really nice feature, and they're really safe. That there's nothing in the stories that would ever kind of make you anxious or cause you to have a jolt. Even like so many little details, like one of the stories I really like, particularly in the run up to Christmas, is one called Snowville. Which is a kind of gentle and romantic description of a fictitious medieval town called Snowville and its festive night market. And they've got the attention to detail is so good in these stories. They've got a bit where you kind of walk up the steps of the town walls to kind of look out over the view. And they say that there is a handrail for the steps and that they've been thoroughly de-iced. So like any risk that you might have a kind of slight mental panic that these steps are icy and you might slip, like that, they kind of take that away from you. So all bases covered. These I just love these stories. They're really nice. And I also make quite good use of the sleep soundscapes, especially if I'm trying to nap or sleep while there's background noise. So personally, I use the rain on canvas soundscape a lot, which I find I can turn up to, even a fairly moderate volume. And it does a really good job of drowning out all but kind of quite really loud background noise. And as a result, helps kind of create a restful and relaxing environment to fall asleep to at night or for a nap. Or if you prefer, there's even a library of sleep music. So gentle tones or strings or whatever you like to lull you off to sleep. And both the soundscapes and the sleep music, again, like with the meditations, you can set your preferred length. So these tend to be, from memory, I think you can go for 45 minutes or you can go for like, I don't know, 500 minutes or something. So you could leave it playing all night if you wanted to. And so that concludes our little tour. I hope you've enjoyed this little insight into Headspace and the way I use it. As I say, if you already use Headspace or perhaps a different meditation app, I know some of the better ones have similar sets of features to what I've described for Headspace, Calm, for example. So if you're already a meditation app user, Headspace or Calm or something else, perhaps you feel inspired by this episode to go and check out something cool that you maybe didn't know your app could do for you. And if you are not currently a regular user of a meditation app, and I've whetted your appetite today, then you can get 14 days absolutely free with Headspace to take it for a test drive and try out all the features you're interested in. Sign up at examstudyexpert.com/Headspace. That's examstudyexpert.com/Headspace. Thanks so much for listening today. It's been great to talk to you. I hope you've enjoyed this little tour, and wishing you a calm and productive week ahead.
If you've got exams coming up, you can now get all of William's favourite tips and tricks to save you time and get you higher grades, all in one handy cheat sheet. Grab your copy at examstudyexpert.com/free tips. Thanks again for listening, and see you soon.